talking there about Gracie Hill and Bailey Russell. They're the stars of the next piece that we're going to do. They're playful, they get out and about, they do lots of things. They're 5 years of age.
They look very cheeky to me.
Their parents are in trouble because their parents have had letters from their local health clinic saying that their two little pride and joys there are overweight, and these letters go into great detail and they warn about dangers like cancer and heart disease. Are their concerns justified in these letters? So Gracie and her mum Laura are here. Hello, Laura.
Hello. And
we've got Bailey and his mum Donna. Bailey, could I see your tummy before we go any further? Let me just see. Oh, goodness me, right, so there he is, and alongside them is Professor Paul Gately, who is a weight management expert. Now, we can see there's nothing too much to worry about with the children at the moment here, Paul, but first of all, could you just explain to people, before we get into the nitty-gritty, how these letters are activated? There doesn't seem to be a lot of discretion to them. There must be some sort of trigger factor on a computer that then sends a letter out, or...
Well, there's a national weighing and measuring programme in England, and that means that every year about 1 million children are measured. So you can imagine 1 million children being measured is quite a big deal.
Yes.
But a lot of work to do. So you're absolutely right. All the information goes into a central computer, and then the letters get posted out to parents in a sort of an automated system. So it doesn't add that degree of personal touch to it. Some areas are doing it differently. Sheffield's doing a very, very positive approach where it connects with families and offers workshops for families that are concerned about the letters that they receive. But actually, it's not done the same everywhere.
Okay, so Laura and Donna, you knew that the children were going to be weighed and measured. You were quite happy for them to take part.
Absolutely, yeah.
And you had no concerns because you didn't ever look at your children and think, oh, you know, they are a bit overweight.
No.
So what did the letter actually say?
Well, it basically starts by saying that the children were weighed and measured, and it goes on to say the results suggest that your child is overweight for their age and their sex. Right. And it goes on to then say it can lead to serious diseases like cancer, diabetes, you know,
which
things.
Of course, we know it can.
It can, absolutely.
So when that dropped through your door, you thought, oh, good, here's the results, it'll be fine. How did you feel when you read that?
Shocked, really shocked. My husband opened it and he said, "You'll never guess what I've just received." He said, "I'm fuming," and he passed it over to me. And to read it as very health conscious, you know, parents, it almost seems kind of patronising. It angers you. It makes you, as much as you know you're not bad parents, and you know there's nothing wrong with it.
Gracie, love, great, come here, I'm going to see you, because I'm just looking at you here. Come here over here. And I mean, you know, by any stretch of the imagination, sit up my knee here. Who do you see? Now look at these. I've seen better hanging out of a nest. I've seen thicker hanging out of a nest there. I mean, she's not. You can see her wee legs there and everything else. There's nothing to. It's not as if you're breaking my leg sitting on it here, if you know what I mean.
And what kind of things do you like eating, Gracie?
Lots.
Nuts.
Do you like fruit and vegetables?
I like fruit and vegetables.
What's your favourite food? Tell the truth.
Your favourite food?
Pizza and spaghetti bolognese.
Oh, well, like anybody else. Okay, will you go over there and sit with Mum again?
And Donna, the same. So you get the same letter, same time.
Exactly the same. And obviously, I was shocked as well. Thought the same thing. Because we do like watch what he eats and everything like that, and he's really active. So it's just the line saying it was overweight, kind of like.
Does it tell you by how much? Does it go into any detail?
Yeah, it gives you the measurements and it tells you what their BMI is,
right?
Which is what it's measured on. So
now,
this
Paul,
is the important.
This is the important bit. Are we then missing something? Is it picking up on something that we, with the naked eye, can't see here?
It is. What we know from the research evidence is that in parents, 70% of parents would underestimate their overweight child, and 50% of parents would underestimate their obese child. Actually, it's quite similar in healthcare professionals as well. We did some research a few years ago with health professionals in Leeds, and it showed the same results, that we do, through the naked eye, misrepresent
Are you
people.
actually saying then that Donna and Laura actually should pay heed and should pay attention then to this letter?
I think this is where one of the challenges is, when we're talking about several 100,000 children being measured and then information being sent home, it's really difficult to define where people are just over the scale. And if one looks at the letter, actually they're only marginally over the line, which puts them in a category. And I suppose the key question is, we have to draw a line somewhere to alert parents, to help them understand what the risks might be in the future. 20 years on from now, as health conscious parents that they are, they want to know what they can do to help their children in the future.
Are you now, as a result of this, and I know you're indignant about the whole thing and whatever, but do you actually now that you've calmed down a bit and you say, well, maybe we have to look at what the children are eating in a different way now, or how they're exercising?
Absolutely not. And this is what angered me about it, because I know that Gracie has not got an ounce of fat on her. She eats a really balanced, healthy diet, and as a vigilant parent, I know that. But some parents might get this drop through the letterbox, have a very healthy child just like Gracie that eats well, and start thinking, right, I need to do something about it, and I need to cut some foods out, which is going to be detrimental for the child.
But okay, say you're the exception rather than the rule. Let's say, mistakes happen, or as you say, Paul, a line has got to be drawn somewhere. Don't the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few? In other words, if it's putting out a good message there to kids that are obviously overweight, is that not okay, and you've just got to accept the fact?
I'm absolutely fine with the letter. I want to make that perfectly clear. I think that what the NHS do for children that are overweight and obese and do have a problem is absolutely fantastic, but I just think it needs to be done in a slightly different way, because we didn't tell Gracie and Bailey about the letter. We didn't tell them that they were overweight. That it's inevitable that they're going to overhear, because we were so outraged about it. They overheard, and at one point Gracie said, "Mummy, am I fat?" And of course we absolutely told her that no, you're not, and the reason that you've got all this attention at the moment is because you're so fit and healthy, which it is. People are shocked to see a healthy 5-year-old.
But do you understand, like Paul was saying, they've got to set a bar?
Yeah,
it's like driving or something. There's got to be a level where you say that's not overweight and that is.
Absolutely, and maybe they need to add into the letter, your child is borderline, so therefore you might not need to do anything about this. They might grow out of it, it might just be a blip. Or my other thought was something along the lines where it goes on a teacher's sign-off or referral, so the teachers get them first and they can clearly
Laura,
say...
you're very sensible. You wonder, are there people like you working in administration like you who should be doing that? They should be listening to you. But Lorraine Stewart from Cockfosters, Lorraine asks, she says, is this really anything new? She says, 46 years ago, when I was at the beginning of secondary school, I had to have a medical, and we had nurses in those days who come in, they weighed me, they told my mother I had to lose a few pounds. My mother was horrified then and said the nurse didn't know what she was talking about. But at some stage, weren't there nurses and whatever that came into schools and did this? Is this?
Yeah, still school nurses are the groups of people that do this. So they the workforce of school nurses, part of their role is to carry out this measurement program, but then actually feed back, and they do some great work. I mean, a lot of the school nurses are well educated around this issue and can really support parents to make a difference.
Gillian Flanagan points out something very interesting. She says, look, I think this is a fabulous idea. She says the country's spiralling into debt partly through treatment of overweight people on the NHS, so targeting the younger generation is a masterstroke, in my opinion. She says, I think maybe as a society we are not aware of the widespread scale of this problem and what it is costing on the NHS.
Well, that's right, and we know the average obese person as an adult costs about 600 times the NHS costs as a normal weight person. 600 times, because there's a whole range of complications that are associated with it. So from that perspective, we know that prevention is better than cure. So the earlier we can start to nip this issue in the bud and acknowledge that it is a serious issue, then actually we can make some great steps to address the problem.
I think, it's so hard to find that balance, isn't it? It's like you're saying, and you don't want the children to start thinking they need to be dieting.
That's what angered me.
Brenda in Surrey, she said a few weeks ago my 5-year-old son was also weighed and measured at school. I received the letter saying he's overweight and in that category because he's 1 pound over. But like you said, it doesn't tell you that it's only just that. And lots of people here saying that when they get these letters, they're concerned that the children will then think they have to diet.
Now, Paul, summer, we're sitting here in summer. Summer must be a pivotal point for a lot of children who are laying down fat because, as trends change, summer should be a time they're out and about and they're being active. And could I just ask you, is it more or less dangerous, or does it make no difference at all at what age you lay down weight? I mean, is there a difference in laying down weight at my age or laying down at those children's age? Is it more dangerous for them?
The evidence shows that if you lay it down earlier, but you continue to maintain that weight, that's more dangerous, because we know that the way that the body uses that fat and stores that fat for the future is problematic to health. We know it does contribute to type 2 diabetes and some forms of cancer and heart disease. But more importantly for all the work that I do with children and families is actually the psychological impact that it has on children and young people. We see issues around self-esteem, around depression, and that leads into their social life as well. So there's a whole range of factors that are negative outcomes of this as an issue.
Well, listen, Gracie and Bailey, you keep listening to your